Welcome back to Acme Classes Simply Accounts channel, a one-point stop wherein all your queries relating to accountancy class 11th and 12th can be resolved. This is part 5 in a series of 6 videos which primarily deals with the cash flow statement. Prior videos numbered 1 to 4, we have basically dealt with the ratio analysis part of the content. So, what is a cash flow statement? Let us go through the meaning of the term cash flow statement. A cash flow statement is a financial statement which shows inflows and outflows of cash and cash equivalents from various activities during an accounting year. And what are those activities? Well, they are operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. There are a number of questions which can come from the cash flow statement content. And to understand the answer to those questions, let us go through a few key terminologies which will make you much more comfortable while dealing with this chapter. So, the first term that may be asked is what are cash and cash equivalents? Normally, children refer to cash and cash equivalents as anything which can be quickly converted into cash. Well, that is not entirely incorrect, but that is not complete. So, let us see the full complete definition of cash and cash equivalents. So, cash and cash equivalents are short-term, highly liquid investments that are readily convertible into known amounts of cash without any significant risk in terms of loss of value. This is very important. So if you have, for example, 5,000 rupees in your bank account, can you not be sure of getting those 5,000 rupees out from your bank account if you had to meet any expense? The answer to that is yes. You can be very sure that you can at least take out 5,000 rupees from the bank. But can you say the same thing? Let's say in the context of a car, can you for sure say that you can sell your car and recover 60,000 from the sale proceeds of the car? Well, that depends on how much your car sells for ultimately. But then that is not cash and cash equivalents. So cash and cash equivalents have the fundamental feature, first, that they can be quickly converted into cash, and secondly, into known amounts of cash without any significant loss in terms of value. So the next terminology that can be asked of is what is an operating activity? The very simple answer to that is operating activities are the primary revenue producing activities of the business. Let us take a few examples. So let us take an example of a textile company. What is the basic business of the company? And the answer to that question is just produce cloth. Is constructing a building a primary business of this company? The answer to that is absolutely not. So constructing a building is not an operating activity for a textile company, whereas producing cloth is. But at the same time, constructing a building is an operating activity of a construction business. But producing cloth is not an operating activity of a construction business. Taking a few more examples. Let's say a company produces tires. Is constructing a truck or making a truck revenue producing activity of the business? Absolutely not. Making tires is not making trucks, not constructing a building, not giving loans to somebody, but giving loans to somebody is the primary operating activity of a financial company or banks. So what is operating and non-operating activity depends upon the nature of the business that we're talking about. So let's go on to the significance of knowing about operating activities in a cash flow statement. If the operating activities of the cash flow statement, the net result is a healthy cash inflow, it indicates 3-4 things. First being that the company is internally solvent and the net revenue producing activities of the business is resulting in a cash inflow. What does that do, or how does that help the business? It simply helps the business to be in a position to pay off all its debts, plan about future investments, pay dividends, and also an indicator of operational efficiency of the business. So, a net cash inflow in terms of operating activities is good for the business, whereas a net cash outflow is only going to be possible if you borrow money to run the day-to-day operations of the business, which in itself is not really healthy. Proceeding on. So, within the context of operating activities is another term that is discussed is non-cash transactions. Non-cash transactions are those transactions as per Accounting Standard 3 which do not result in any cash inflows and outflows, and therefore for the very reason that they do not result in any cash inflows and outflows, they must be excluded from the cash flow statement. Let me explain this point by using an example. This in front of you is a sample profit and loss account. So we have gross profit transferred from the trading account amounting to 46,000 and a couple of different types of expenses. Salary paid in cash being a cash expense, depreciation 3,000 being a non-cash expense. So the profit that you calculate being 40,000 is after deduction of cash and non-cash expenses. But when we prepare the cash flow statement, we start with surplus, that is balance in statement of profit and loss account. In other words, net profit. But that net profit has been affected by both cash and non-cash transactions. So how can it actually calculate the cash inflows and outflows unless it takes into account only cash transactions without taking into effect the impact of non-cash transactions? Therefore, we must be in a position to calculate that net profit which has only been affected by cash transactions. So if I was to exclude the non-cash transactions, how much net profit would I calculate? I would simply subtract 1,000 from 46,000 to obtain a net profit or figure of 45,000, and that 45,000 has only been affected by cash transactions without taking into consideration or the effect of non-cash transactions. Therefore, you might have seen that in the cash flow statement, non-cash expenses are added back to the net profit or surplus, that is balance in statement of profit and loss account, because we do not want or we will not be in a position to calculate cash inflows and outflows if we have both the non-cash and cash expenses affecting the net profit figure. Proceeding, now we shall deal with investing activities. Investing activities are those activities which involve acquisition or sale of long-term assets or investments, or in other words, non-current assets. For like in the example taken before, a textile company constructs a building. For that company, building is a non-current asset, and therefore, if it constructs a non-current asset like, for example, a building, it will be termed as an investing activity, not an operating activity. For a construction company, constructing buildings is an operating activity, but for a construction company, buying a vehicle or a truck or a bus is an investing activity. So let's discuss the significance of investing activities. They represent the extent to which expenditures have been made for resources intended to generate future income or cash flows. How does a business generate cash flows? By investing further, by expanding, by growing, and that is only possible through investing activities. If you spend all the money you earn, you will never be able to grow and expand. Therefore, if the net result of all your operating activities is a negative cash outflow, it may not necessarily be a bad thing. It may just be an indicator of the fact that the company has invested money in its non-current assets for future growth and expansion. Next, we deal with financing activities. Financing activities are concerned with how a company obtains its funds for carrying out day-to-day operations. It is primarily through two ways, debt and equity. So, financing activities in short relate to long-term funds or capital of an enterprise, for example shares, debentures, long-term loans, so on and so forth. So what is the significance of financing activities? Financing activities help in predicting the claims on future cash flows by providers of funds or creditors. If the net result of financing activities is a positive cash inflow, it may not necessarily but may mean that the firm is borrowing funds to meet its day-to-day operational needs. But if the net result of financing activities is a negative cash outflow, it again may mean that the firm is repaying off its debts, which may be good for the firm for a healthy debt-equity ratio. Proceeding on. Another term that is commonly used in cash flow statements is called extraordinary items. These are non-recurring events affecting a business. For example, loss due to an earthquake, fire, business losses due to COVID. These cannot be planned for in the future. These cannot be planned for in advance. These things just happen and result in an extraordinary either gain or a loss. For example, COVID resulted in extraordinary loss for many businesses except pharma companies, which are now going to have extraordinary gains as a result of it. So for some companies, extraordinary losses may occur due to events, and for some other companies, extraordinary gains may result due to events. So classification of activities. Let's take a few examples. Income tax is an operating activity outflow. Capital gains tax is tax on capital gains, and capital gains are gains on purchase or sale of assets or non-current assets or investments. Capital gains tax has to be paid and therefore is an investing activity outflow. Dividend tax is the nature of financing activities and is an outflow because it has to be paid. Issue of equity shares is a financing activity inflow. Issue of debentures is a financing activity inflow. Purchase of goodwill is an investing activity outflow. Purchase of securities for trading purposes. Now, it is not purchase of securities as an investment, it is purchase of securities for trading purposes. These will be operating activities and outflow. So, please go through these few examples that I have accumulated for you, because these are typical and normally children do not prepare these, and these are normally asked in a Viva. So, tax paid on sale of land and building is an investing activity outflow and will be recorded in the investing activity area of the cash flow statement. Redemption of equity shares is a financing activity outflow. Securities premium reserve on issue is a financing activity inflow. So likewise, brokerage paid on purchase of investments is an investing activity outflow. Retirement of long-term debt is a financing activity outflow. Underwriting commission paid is a financing activity outflow. Dividend received by a mutual fund company. Normally, dividend received would be termed as financing activity, but because it is being received by a mutual fund company whose primary business is the same, for that particular business, it will be termed as an operating activity inflow. Proceeding, the provisions of the Companies Act with respect to dividend. Now, treatment of dividend has undergone few changes over the past couple of years. So let's now deal with dividend. Interim dividend. Interim dividend is declared by the board of the company. Therefore, it is paid in the year it is declared. It is based on estimated profits which the firm may earn at the end of the year. Dividend on preference shares. Now, preference shares have a preference for the payment of dividend. Thus, if equity shares are paid dividend, then the preference shares must have been paid dividend. Therefore, if in a question it says that equity shares have to be paid a dividend, then please ensure to account for payment of dividend on preference shares. Proposed dividend when it becomes a liability. Now, proposed dividend or final dividend for both equity shares and preference shares is declared by the shareholders in the annual general meeting in the next financial year. Now, every financial year ends on 31st March. Once the accounts are closed on 31st March, let's say 31st March of 2020, the annual report will be presented by the board of directors at the annual general meeting, let's say in the month of April, wherein the proposal put up by the board to declare a certain amount of dividend is then either approved or disapproved by the shareholders through a vote. Once approved, then the dividend payable becomes a liability as it has to be paid within a certain stipulated time as provided for by the Companies Act regulations of 2013. So dividend is proposed by the directors of the company after the preparation of the balance sheet. Like I said, directors call the annual general meeting within 6 months from the date of the balance sheet, and the equity shareholders approve the amount of the dividend which cannot exceed the amount proposed by the directors. This way, on the date of balance sheet, dividend proposed becomes a contingent liability and it becomes an actual liability of the company in the next financial year once approved by the shareholders. Contingent liabilities are shown as notes to the balance sheet. Thus, proposed dividend cannot be shown inside the balance sheet because it has not been approved yet. But on the date of approval, dividend is declared and paid. With this, I come to the end of part 5 in this series of 6 videos dealing with how to prepare for your accountancy Viva practical. In this last part of this series of videos, that is part 6, I'll deal with comparative analysis and financial statements. We normally cover those points that children forget to do. Therefore, if you've not looked at all our videos in the series, please go down to the description box below and click on the links wherein all the links for all the 6 videos have been provided for. And if you have not so already done, kindly like, subscribe, share, comment and press the bell icon. Thank you and good luck for your board exams.